Thanks for helping me out during the ceremony. I had no idea what I was supposed to do.
You don't know Latin, do you? Don't worry. Work in the scriptorium will teach you fast enough. Why exactly are you here? Was it your choice? Or did someone force you to come?
It was my choice. For a common lad like me, it's the easiest way to get an education and do something worthwhile with my life.
It looks like we're both here for the same reason. I think we'll get along.
Would you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a novice and I'm here because I'd make a poor merchant. I like books and I want an education. Although I must say, so far the monastic life's been quite unexpected.
Let's go then.
Good. But before we do, here's a letter directly from the prior telling you all your regular duties from tomorrow onwards. Make sure to read it this evening, so you know how things work. Right, we can go now. Follow me closely. I'll explain everything as we go. Remember one word: discipline. It's your job to work and pray. You serve the Lord now, not your own bodily needs. Salve, be well. This is the way to the dormitory, where we all sleep. You'll find a free bed there, which is now yours. Do you know the first thing the monastery taught me? To appreciate sleep. We rise before dawn every day. Takes a bit of getting used to.
Peace be with you, brother.
Things will get worse.
I'd like to ask you something. Who's in charge?
Truthfully, everyone except us. But officially, Abbot Peter. And soon enough, someone else. As if it mattered. Our life...
I see.
Something is going to happen out there. You might be wrong.
Are there any rifts?
Yes. From the moment talk began about electing a new abbot, it's been like a hornet's nest here. Strange you haven't noticed.
Tell me something about electing the abbot.
Abbot Peter is old. When he dies, they'll have to select a new abbot from amongst the brethren. The candidates are John and Nevlas. And if you ask me for my opinion, Nevlas is definitely the right man. Unfortunately, no one cares about my opinion because novices get no say.
Tell me something about life.
Work, prayer, as if you didn't know. We serve God, and that's the central truth of our lives.
What are the roles?
Someone takes care of the library, someone else the garden. The abbot supervises everyone, and in his absence, the prior. But it's the circators you should worry about. They're the brothers who'll make sure we observe the rule. They can be quite strict, so if you want to avoid getting punished, always act righteously and do your duties honestly.
Who would you choose?
Why should I even think about that when I don't have the right to vote? Gregor, don't go poking your nose into other people's business. You'll sleep better at night. Come now, I don't want to still be showing you around at midnight. This is the garden, a place for silent
It occurred to me you might be the man to ask. I'm looking for some lockpicks. Do you know anyone in the monastery who could help me?
Lockpicks? You surprise me, brother. And you, a nobleman's son. But you could ask Brother Celerius. They say he used to be a thief.
I'd like to ask you... Who's in charge?
Truthfully, everyone except us. But officially, Abbot Peter. So he won't make it to the autumn.
Are there already...
Brothers John and Neville.
This John,
a Circator, and really just an unpleasant old man. It's mostly the older brothers on his side, because they believe he'll protect the status quo and all the benefits that come with long service here.
Tell me something about...
Nevlas manages the monastery's property. He's what they call the provost. He'd like to bring back solemnity to the monastery through reform and by returning to pure faith. A lovely idea, but most of the monks are against it.
Why can't novices vote?
They say we don't have enough experience to decide about anything. Don't worry, we'll get our chance.
Why is who wins?
We're young and we'll spend the rest of our lives here. And the abbot decides everything about our lives. Didn't it ever occur to you how powerful he is?
Well, that's all.
Here are the frattery and scriptorium, together with the library. These are the places where we work. Ora et labora. Pray and work.
As a novice, you must always listen to your superior brethren. And above us monks are the prior and the Circators, who punish every infraction. You'll know them by the canes they carry. Do what they say. This is the refectory, where we come together to eat. During meals, you must be silent. Only one brother reads aloud from the Rule of Saint Benedict.
The rule is the only law we recognize, with the exception of those from God himself. If you break any of its precepts, expect a swift punishment. But I've already told you about the Circators. The library, the pride of our monastery, a trove of learning. We don't just read books here, we also copy them. You, too, will learn how. And that's all. Today you are still free from duty, but tomorrow you begin work like the others. If you need anything, ask any of the brothers. We'll be glad to help you. And I recommend you get to know the other novices. You already know me. Then there is Siskin, Yodok, and Lucas.
Thanks for showing me around. There's a lot to learn here.
Will you tell me something?
There's not much to tell. I lived in Vlashim, and after my father died, I found out I wasn't much of a merchant. So I left the shop to my brother, and decided to become a monk. It's peaceful here. There's food and lots of time to read.
So you chose to come here?
It may seem strange, but I'm one of the few novices that did. I might be the only one. The truth is, the idea of spending my life in a monastery was more appealing than being cooped up in a greasy old shop.
The forbidden books must be in that cabinet. I'm Gregor, a novice. I saw you at the ceremony.
I know. It was hard not to notice you.
And you are?
Lucas, also a novice. Don't get upset, but I don't want to talk to you. I'm happiest alone.
I'd like to know...
I don't know much, but ask away.
Tell me about Antonio.
I'd like to, but there's nothing to tell. I've never spoken to him.
Will you tell me?
There's nothing.
I mean, where you're from, what sort of life you had before.
I'm a novice, and my monastic name is Lucas. Nothing else matters.
Come on.
I could, but I don't want to. I'm sorry. I want to stay focused on work and prayer, not on who I once was. I never will be again. What has been isn't important for us. We cast the past aside when we walked through the monastery gates and took our oath. Never forget.
If you could.
But I can't vote, so what's the point of worry? Ask Antonius. He often... Someone really reeked at Matins.
Praise be to Christ, brother.
I'd be interested... I'm interested in Luke.
No one knows much about him. He doesn't talk to anyone. He works, eats, sleeps. It's as if he wanted to get it all over with as soon as possible. By it.
That's all.
Salve. Be well.
I've read one of the manuscripts copied by one of the novices. Touching, is it? Touching.
I'm Gregor and
I know. I saw you in the church during ceremony. I have the feeling we'll be meeting again soon. And
what does that mean?
I make sure everyone observes the rule, does their work, and that
When it's not the...
then we're authorized to mete out punishment. But certainly you won't require.
I'd like to ask... Who's in charge?
Abbot Peter is the administrator of the monastery, but you won't see him. He's always traveling, and on top of that, he's old and infirm. Perhaps the good Lord will bless him with many more years of life.
And what happens when the...
Then we elect a new one.
Are there any
Yes, there are. Brothers John and Nevlas. Cursed elections. On one side are brothers who'd like to see John as abbot. On the other, those who support Nevlas.
Tell me about John.
John is the circator and the oldest brother.
I'd like to know...
Nevlas manages the monastery, although perhaps he's too keen to change.
Why does it matter?
Because the future direction of the monastery. The older brothers take a different view.
I thought politics weren't...
You're right. But we know nothing besides...
Are there ever any...
Unfortunately, yes. The biggest...
Tell me some...
The old abbot is practically...
Tell me something...
Prayer, work.
Can you tell me something...
7 centuries ago, Saint Benedict... The fundamental precepts are obedience.
Do you never want to know what...
And what should be going on?
I'm interested in the...
It was founded by Saint Procop.
Heretics, you say?
They wanted to worship God with some...
What are the roles?
Well, the abbot is the head. As a novice...
What can you tell...
What can I say? You're here to demonstrate...
I meant something specific about the...
But you know them yourself. Yorick is an odd one, but he's diligent and eager. Perhaps too eager. Siskin is good company, but a bit too worldly for a monk. Antonius is hard-working and will help with anything, but prays less than he ought. Lucas is as quiet as a mouse.
Can you...
Where would you go? You have everything you need here.
Who would you like?
Brother John, obviously. No one's in...
I'd like to ask... Greetings, brother.
Greetings to you, brother. I'm Yodok, the oldest of the novices. I hope you'll like it here in the monastery and that you won't get into trouble.
Trouble?
You're young, perhaps intemperate. You might easily stray from the rules of the Order. I suggest you get to know the older monks. You never know when it might...
I'm interested in... Do you know anything about...
Only that he came to the monastery voluntarily, because he didn't want to work in his father's shop. Antonius is all right. You can rely on him. He won't betray your confidence. He's always happy to help, which is more than can be said for the other...
I'm interested in...
Nobody knows much about Lucas. He keeps himself to himself. If you ask me, he's got something to hide.
Do you have any grounds for suspecting him of something?
Quite a lot. And also none at all. The circators who make the rounds despise him, and they'd never punish anyone without cause.
Can you tell me something?
I would if there was anything noteworthy to say. But I'm just the ordinary son of a landowner, now a monk.
Why did you join the monastery?
Because it was better than living in poverty. As the youngest son, I'm not entitled to inherit my father's estate, but he was kind enough to sell off some cattle and send... And you know what? I'm glad to be here. It's better than mucking out manure.
Who would you vote?
Why do you care? We don't have the right to vote, so we shouldn't get mixed up in...
I'm just interested.
I like John better. But like I've said, it's not our place to get involved. It's enough that Antonius is...
I'd like to know...
I don't...
Tell me about Antonius.
I'd like to, but there's nothing to tell. I've never...
You really don't know...
Don't get up.
What's troubled you?
Is it possible to learn something about...
Only the abbot and the prior keep...
And can I see them?
No. The abbot writes and keeps his records in his chambers, and only he...
Is there anything I can do?
I'm glad you asked. There's one thing. A silly thing, really. I haven't thought to... But not long ago, a brother brought me a crumpled piece of parchment. He says he found it rolled up in a hole in the wall. The thing is, it was a page from Ovid.
Ovid? What is that? Is it the name of a book?
Not what, but who. Ovid was a great Roman poet. We have a few volumes by him in the library, but one of them vanished one day. Now I believe I can guess what happened. Brother Eustace, may the earth rest lightly on him, was quite narrow-minded when it came to classical literature. If a book had any mention of woman at all, he condemned it as a heretical work. If he'd had his way, all such books would have been burned. Ovid's The Art of Love must have been such a thorn in his side that he stole it from the library, tore it up, and hid the pages wherever he could.
Oh, would you like me to put the book back together again?
Absolutely. Eustace's wits weren't the sharpest, so I'm sure he didn't destroy any of the pages. I imagine he hid them throughout the monastery. It might take you a while to find them all, but when you do, you can rest assured Ovid will return to his rightful place in the library.
Good. I'll look around for it.
Thank you, brother. It's of no great importance, but if you can find all 10 pages, I'll be most grateful.
Where should I look?
If I knew, I wouldn't have asked you to do it. The pages of the book could be hidden anywhere, from the garden to the refectory.
Can you tell me something?
The Art of Love is a sort of manual instructing young people how to find and maintain love. It's a lovely work. I don't understand what bothered Eustace so much about it, but as I was saying, he considered the book to be immoral and tore it up to stop it corrupting any of his brothers.
God be with you.
I'd like to ask...
They keep the tastiest morsels for themselves.
What troubles...
I'd like to ask...
Abbot Peter's health is deteriorating.
Peter has a strong constitution. He'll still be on this earth for many years to come.
I wish all good health upon him. I want Jesus to know that the new abbot can bring that health.
Wait till he pays up.
This looks like the dregs after a night's drinking. Who could be coming here?
Salve Domini.
Salve Domini. Salve Domini.
Salve Domini.
What is it, brother?
I'd be interested to hear what you think. That's all. Thanks. I'd be interested. What about your...
Be on good terms with him. If you show even the slightest hint you don't like him, he's a slimy little pedant who He'll rat you out to the superiors. Once he finishes his novitiate, I imagine he'll want to climb his way up the ladder to at least...
That's all. Thanks.
You've seen us drinking here, so either join in or swear you won't tell a soul. You won't want to end up like Lucas now, would you?
All right. I wouldn't mind some wine.
That's more like it. Sit down and have a drink, my lad. I'll say one thing, brother. This wine would grace the Pope's table. What troubles you?
What are you doing?
What does it look like?
But we're...
Youngster, when you're as old as I...
Why not? I've had enough.
That's what we like to... I'll say...
Ah, Gregor.
About you in the election.
Ask me anything you...
Tell me something about...
Nevertheless is weak and toothless. He's full of hot hair. How anyone could think he'd make a good abbot is beyond me. Enough. I don't even want...
I'd like to know...
Well, the young brothers feel they don't have the same rights and responsibilities as we, Neverless is lying when he says he wants to right wrongs. All he cares about are the benefit.
I'd like to help you if I...
There is something you could do. I'm convinced Neverless must have done something that would greatly damage him if everyone found out. If he was preaching water and drinking wine, for example.
So I should dig something up on him and tell you about it?
Exactly. But I doubt you'll have any luck. Neverless is too cunning and careful to give...
Once I find something out, I'll tell you. I'd like to help you.
I'm convinced.
So...
Exactly.
I'm sorry, but...
He weighed...
Thank you for What did you want me to...
Dig up some dirt on...
I'd like to...
Ah, down the hatch. What would you like?
I'd like to...
What's there left to drink to?
To our fresh young novices, our swift steeds, and our boundless sellers.
You and your novices, you old pervert. A toast to our future abbot.
I'll drink to that. So, to John, future abbot, and a pox.
And Killjoy, he'd love to have us all under his thumb. Fat chance.
Don't worry. Those youngsters will wise up once they hear about him.
Will they be?
Even if just 2 or 3 of them. So, to Abbot John.
To Abbot John.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
Well, probably the same as you. I want to be able to read in peace and quiet. And not just the books they make us read.
What exactly do you...
Well, I'd be interested to find the unofficial biography of Saint Procopius, but there probably is no such thing. To be honest, I was expecting some entertaining reading, but it's just the same old stuffy nonsense. But if that locked cabinet there with all the forbidden books was open, that would be a different story. Until recently it was still unlocked, but after something vanished, they've kept it locked tight.
Maybe I could get inside.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I'd love to pore over some of those tomes. We'd be in it together, up to our ears in it. What do you say?
We'll see what I can do.
My name's Gregor.
You can call me Siskin. Now, are you here of your own free will, or is this a punishment? Although, it's not important.
Did you say purgatory?
You'll see soon enough. Soon.
Will you tell me something?
Look, nothing against you, but I prefer not to...
Are you hiding something? Why are you so...
I'm hiding a lousy past that I'd rather forget. I hate to think of all I lost when they stuck me in here. And also because I really hate the question, aren't you the son of the famed Sir Smilflash? I was rich and I had everything. But then my father began to feel his time approaching, so he decided to send a son to the monastery. And, being the youngest, the lot fell on me. I've no head for managing the estate, and they said I'd squander it. Can you imagine? Me in a monastery. So I took what coin I could from home with me, so I didn't lose out completely.
But you didn't have to come here if you didn't want to.
No, not if I didn't mind being left to beg alms by the city gate. I had one choice, the monastery or nothing. If it had come to that after my father's death, so be it. But to get rid of me while he's still alive...
They must have realized you robbed them.
I donated some of the silver to the monastery when I came in, just to piss them off. I can just see my my siblings, arguing with the abbot to give it back.
And you stashed away the remainder?
Indeed so.
What's your plan with this treasure?
To get out of here as soon as I can. I'll wait another year or two until my hot-headed brothers cool off a bit, and then I'll take the silver and run off somewhere, far, far away from here.
That's all I wanted to know.
Please, keep...
I'm still curious about the...
It's no big, terrible secret. Really, it isn't. I just go and read during services. There's no time otherwise. I mean, at other times, I don't get to read what I like. And I keep it under the slab so the others don't find it.
I'll leave you be. Don't worry, I won't follow you again.
Thank you. And please, Gregor, don't mention it to anyone.
How is it that you don't get any penance for missing morning prayers?
I've paid off the circators to turn a blind eye. And the other monks don't notice as long as you show your face there from time to time. No one's too awake at that time of the morning.
I'd be interested. That's all. Who would you...
Most likely Nevlas. He's a fine fellow and he seems honest. But, truth be told, it doesn't... The monastery will still be a monastery, no matter who's in charge. If you really want to talk more about it,
will you tell...
Look, nothing against...
Very well, I won't ask.
Thank you.
There's something I should tell you. Something you won't be happy... I'm here to find someone, and, well, to do away with him. But listen, it's not murder. Not when it's a man like him. He's one of the brigands who burned down Neuhof. He doesn't deserve to live.
What's he doing here? And who are you?
They call him pious because he used to be a priest. When he found out a lot of people were after him, he hid away here. And as you can see, escaped suspicion. They sent me here to find him and bring him to justice. He's one of the novices.
So we have one outlaw and one assassin in our midst. This place is a lot more exciting than I expected. Do you know who it is?
Well, that's just it. I won't tell you more, and I'd like you to keep silent about this too.
You're talking about killing in the monastery. I really should report it.
Would you do that?
You're right. I'll keep it to myself. I've got problems enough of my own without involving myself in yours. And besides, I mean to be gone from here within a year, so why should I care what happens with the monastery?
Thank you, Siskin. I'm still...
It's no big terrible secret. Really, it isn't. I just go and read during services. There's no time otherwise. I mean, at other...
Actually, I don't care.
I'd be interested to hear. Tell me about Antonio.
Well, if there was a monk I'd recommend as a friend, with of course the exception of myself, it would be Antonius. He has a calm soul.
I'm interested in your...
What could interest you about him? He's a no-good rat. He'll turn you in for the price of a turnip. I'd bet my life.
That doesn't sound too...
It wasn't meant to. No matter what you do here, watch out for him. He's got his eye on everyone, and he'll rat on you for even the slightest of it.
What can you tell me about...
It's a tricky situation with Lucas. No one really knows anything about him. I've tried so many times to talk to him, but he always backs away like a virgin on a wedding night.
That's all.
What do you...
What have we here? It looks like a book with the names of all the novices. interesting. But I still don't know which one of them is pious.
would you like?
What do we have here? A nice sharp dagger. Now what would a monk need that for?
What do you desire?
I'd like to ask...
Will you tell... Look, nothing...
Are you...
I'm hiding. I hate to think... And also because I really hate... I was rich. I've no head for math.
That's all I wanted.
Please.
What is that? Where did you get it?
Brother, where were you during Mass? Don't tell me you didn't know that Holy Mass is the foundation on which your life here is built.
I was feeling a bit queasy.
Really? Fine then. This time I will forgive.
I'd like to ask...
What is that? And where did you get it?
Therefore, when anyone receives the name of abbot, he ought to govern his disciples with a twofold teaching. That is to say, he should show them all that is good and holy, by his deeds.
What is it, brother?
More than by his words, expounding the
I'm looking for something a little...
And what...
intelligent among his disciples, but demonstrating the divine
I'm looking for
lock picks and...
I'd like to practice opening locks.
Well, why not? So you heard I used to be a burglar, did you? I put it all behind me as soon as I took the vows. I'll trade them for food. Get me a bite to eat, and you can have your lockpicks.
For in obedience, and let him not shut his eyes to the faults of offenders, but, since he has the authority, let him cut out those faults by the roots as soon as they begin to appear. Remembering the fate of Heli, the priest of Silo, the well-disposed and those of good understanding, let him correct with verbal admonition the first and second.
What is it, brother?
I have all the pages of the torn-up book. The Art of Love can go back to the library.
Oh, brother, you can't even imagine how happy you've made me. Since you're clearly a true lover of books, I'll give you a reward I've never given another novice. I'll lend you the key to the cabinet containing forbidden books, and you can look at the peculiar things we've accumulated there. That cabinet's strictly off-limits to novices, but you've earned my trust. I'm sure you'll recognize that those books contain nothing but dangerous gibberish, and there's a valuable lesson to be learned there.
Thank you, brother. I'd like to...
The Rule of Saint Benedict. Reading. Readings on the abbot. Therefore, when anyone receives the name of abbot, he ought to govern his disciples with a twofold.
Ah, Gregor, talk to me.
I'd like to ask...
The abbot should always remember what he is and what he is called, and should know that to whom more is committed, from him more is required. Let him make no distinction of persons in the monastery. Let him not love one more than another. unless it be one whom he finds better in good works or in obedience. And let him not shut his eyes to the faults of offenders, but, since he has the authority, let him cut out those
What would you
faults
like?
by the roots as soon as they begin to appear. Remembering the fate of Heli, the priest
I'm
of
still...
Silence,
It's no big
well
terrible
disposed
secret.
in those
Really,
who
it isn't.
understanding, let
I
him
just
correct
go and
those
read
who
during
are
service.
first and second time. But bold,
What kind of a book is it?
proud, and disobedient,
I found it here in the library. It was on a shelf where it should never have been. So I hid it to read later. It's the Necronomicon. Ghosts, demons, and invocations of powers beyond our world. Only it's written in a strange language that I can't really make sense of. All bara this and bara that. Who knows what it means? I tried to count the syllables, read the words backwards, but nothing. I'm not getting anywhere with it.
Oh, I'm not too sure what the prior or the cicada would say about a book like that. Actually, what anyone would say. It sounds quite prohibited.
Prejudice. But you're right, it is prohibited. For no good reason, though. Has knowledge ever done anybody any harm?
The abbot should always remember what he is and what he is called, and should
You're
know
right.
that to whom
Knowledge
more
should
is
never be
given.
prohibited.
From
I'm
him
glad you
more
agree.
is required. Let him
Just
make
take a
no
look at the book.
distinction of persons in the
Maybe you'll be able to
monastery.
make some sense of
Let
it.
him not love one
I haven't
more
grasped
than
a single syllable.
unless it be
Just
one
please
who
don't
finds
tell
better
anyone
in
about the
good
book.
works or in
If the brothers learn that I
And
took
let
it from the
him not
library
shut
and
his
hid it,
eyes
I'll
to
be in a
the
lot
faults
of trouble.
offenders, but
Our
since he has
brothers'
the
minds are
authority,
closed
let
to
him
a
cut
thirst
out
for
those
knowledge.
faults by the roots as soon as they begin to appear.
Actually,
Remembering the fate of Heli, the priest of Silence, the well-disposed and those of good understanding, let him correct with verbal admonition the first and second time. But bold, hard, proud,
I'd like to know.
and disobedient
I don't know
characters,
much.
he should curb at the very
Do you know anything
beginning
about?
the ill-doing
I
by stripes
don't.
and other
He
bodily
doesn't like
punishment.
me, and he's on very
Knowing
friendly
that it is
terms with the
written,
Circators.
the fool is not
That's
corrected
about
with
it.
words. And again, beat your son with the rod, and you will deliver his soul.
What can you tell me about
Yes.
Sis?
Not a lot.
The
I
rule of
don't know
Saint
him.
Benedict.
Actually, I don't
Reading
know
from
much
the
about
abbot.
him at all.
Therefore, when
Except
anyone
that he's
receives
not a
the name
stickler
of
for
abbot,
rules.
he ought to govern his disciples with a twofold.
Are you joking? Don't you know any?
That is to
Why
say,
should I?
I'd have
he
thought
should
you
show
might
them
want to
all
know
that
who
is
you'll be
good
spending the
and
rest of your
holy,
life with.
by his deeds
I
even
definitely
more
do.
than by his words.
In fact, I probably already know more
Expounding
about
the
them than
Lord's
you do.
commandments in
Don't
words
get
to be
upset.
intelligent among
I'm
his
sorry I
disciples,
can't tell you more. I
demonstrating
just
the divine
haven't
precepts
felt
by
like
his
getting to know
actions
anyone
those
yet.
of harder hearts and ruder minds. The abbot should always
In the
remember
night,
what he
I
is
overheard the
and what he is
cicadas in the
called,
cellar.
and should
They were
know
talking
that
about
to
you.
whom more is
no.
committed.
So it's still not over.
More
This
is
isn't a
required.
life in service
Let him
of
make
God.
no
This is
distinction of
purgatory.
persons in the
Lucas, what's going on?
Let him not love one
What do you
more
think?
than another,
Just like you,
unless
I
it
saw
be
the
one
cicadas
whom
drinking
he
and
finds
playing
better
hazard
in
as if
good
they were in a
works
brothel.
or in obedience. And let him not shut his eyes to the faults of offenders, but since he has the authority,
You should have joined them.
let him cut out those faults.
Join
by the
them in their
roots
sinful
as
pursuits.
Soon as they begin to appear.
Yes, perhaps I should have. But
Remembering
I
the
refuse
fate
to
of
do
Heli,
it.
the priest of
I
Silence,
warned them if they
the
didn't stop,
well-disposed
I'd go and
and
tell
those
the
of good
prior.
understanding,
But
let him
instead of
correct
mending
with
their
verbal
ways, they
admonition the
vented
first
their
and
anger
second
on
time.
me.
But
You've
bold,
picked the wrong people
hard,
to make enemies
proud,
of, Lucas, they
disobedient
told me.
characters.
Now, I can't even count how many days and nights I've spent locked up in solitary confinement for the tiniest offences, or for no offence at all.
The fool is not corrected with words. And again, beat your son with the
Is there
rod,
something I can
and
do
you will
to help?
deliver his soul from
Would
death.
you?
The rule of Saint
I think
Benedict
all it might take is for you to go and sit down with them, have a talk, set things straight, then they'd leave me alone.
This is the virtue of those who hold
I'm
nothing
afraid even
dearer
this
than
path
their
leads
lives,
nowhere.
who,
They'd probably start
with
hounding you
service
as well.
they have professed, and the fear of hell and the glory of life everlasting.
I'm not afraid
As
of them.
soon as anything has been ordered by the
Brother,
superior,
you have the
this
courage I
divine
lack.
command
May the grace of
cannot
God be
suffer
upon you.
any delay in executing it. But this very obedience
Will you tell me
leads
something?
that
Guy.
to God
I mean, where you're from? What sort of?
only
I'm a novice, and my monastic...
without hesitation. Delay
You see, I'm looking for.
warmness,
You're looking for someone? But
I am a novice.
for the obedience
At least
given
until
to
I find them out.
superiors is given
why
to
would
God.
you be looking amongst
For if the
monks?
disciple obeys,
You know, the laws of man aren't valid here. In the cloister, we're subject to divine law, the law of the church.
I'm looking for a footpad who's hiding out here in the monastery.
He had a hand in raising the Neuhoff farm. He's taken many lives.
I heard something about that. But why are you telling me all this?
Because you could help me. It has to be one of the other novices.
That can't be. Have you told the prior? What are you going to do to this man once you find him?
Degree of humility is obedience without delay. This is the virtue of those who
Talk
hold
to him.
nothing dearer to them than
Then I'll
Christ.
see. Do you have any idea which of the novices could be the imposter I'm looking for?
I don't know, and I don't care to know. I wish you'd never told me. Now I won't be able to sleep at night.
As a divine command and cannot suffer any delay in executing it. But this
I've heard that
very
you,
obedience will be acceptable to God and
well, that you
pleasing
enjoy the
men
company of
only
men.
if what is
Is there any truth to it?
done without
What?
hesitation.
How do you know that?
I read it in the abbot's book.
Grumbling or
What? The abbot's book is locked up in his chambers, and he'd never allow anyone to read it. Did you break in? But why? Just so you could dig something up on me?
I was looking for something else, but I just happened to come across your story.
No matter what you were looking for, you crossed a line that shouldn't be crossed. But don't worry, I won't tell on you if you promise me the same. Yes, you can call me a sodomite, a sinner, a monster, the spawn of Satan. But tell me this, Gregor. Can I help the way I am? I tell you, it's a test of my faith. A test so daunting you can't even imagine it.
When anyone receives the name of abbot, he ought to govern his disciples with a twofold teaching.
You're right.
That is to say,
I found it
to
interesting,
show
but
them
I'm
all
not
that is
judging you.
good and holy
You are the way you
by
are.
his deeds even more
You should be
than
true
by
to
his
yourself.
words.
I'm glad you aren't like the others.
Commandments in words
Thank you for not
intelligent
passing
among
judgment.
his disciples.
I swear to God, I've never lain with another man. I've never sinned. When my father wanted me to find a wife and start a family, I told him the truth, and he had me sent here. And in a way, I was glad. My guilt had been consuming me, and I knew in the monastery I'd find peace. The Lord sees my soul, and he knows it's pure.
Not love one more than another, unless it be one whom he finds better in good works or in obedience. And let him not shut his eyes to the faults of offenders, but, since he has the authority, let him cut out those faults by the roots as soon as they begin to appear. Remembering the fate of Heli,
What do you desire?
priest of Siloam, the well-disposed,
I'm interested-
those of good understanding, let him correct
What can you
with
tell me-
verbal admonition
Oh,
first and second
he's always
round.
got a smile and a new
But
friend.
bold, hard,
But I reckon he don't
proud,
belong in the
disobedient
monastery.
characters
He spends more time dreaming of the...
very
I'm
beginning
surprised he
of
hasn't
the
been thrown out
by
already.
stripes
If it was
and
up to
other
me,
bodily
he'd be out on his ear right away.
Knowing that it is written, the fool is not corrected with words. And again,
Sounds like you don't have...
beat your
I wouldn't
son with
trust
the
him as
rod,
far as I
and
could
you
throw
will
him.
deliver his soul from
Believe
death.
me, Gregor, he's hiding something from us. In fact, now I come to think of it, I haven't seen him at morning prayers for a while.
This is the virtue of those who hold nothing
What
dear
can you tell me about...
Christ,
Oh,
who, because of the
I'm
holy
surprised.
service they have professed, and the fear of hell, and the glory of life everlasting, as soon as anything has been ordered by
I've read the abbot's book.
receive it as a
It says in there that you're not as saintly as you make out. Actually, it seems like you're as lecherous as a boring rut.
You broke into the abbot's quarters to spy on me? You won't get away with it.
I wasn't interested in your opinion about what I did. What interests me is you and what the book has to say about you.
I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm going to report you.
superiors is given to God. For if the disciple obeys what
Just try it, and I'll smack you so hard your feet won't touch the ground.
simply
No, don't hit me. I won't say anything to anyone, I promise.
his work will not be acceptable to God, who sees that his heart is murmuring, and far from gaining a reward for such work as this, he will incur
What would you like?
punishment due to murmurers, unless he amend and make satisfaction. The rule of Saint
I'd be interested to hear what...
readings on humility.
What can you tell me about...
That there's no man alive less suitable for the monastic life than him. I've heard things. Siskin must have been like him, fighting, drinking, fornicating, but then he ended up in here.
As soon as anything has been ordered by the
Why is he in the monastery?
No one knows. Maybe he's hiding from something, or maybe he's being punished.
Do you think he has a secret?
Don't we all? But unlike the others, he absolutely refuses to speak about his life before the monastery.
done without hesitation.
That's all I want.
Lukewarmness,
That's all.
grumbling, or objection. For the obedience given to superiors
In the night,
God
I saw the brother Cicada.
And why aren't you spending your nights sleeping instead of creeping around spying on your brothers?
I only wanted to...
I know, brother, I know. But you need to understand that novices shouldn't be poking their noses into the affairs of elder brothers.
And far from gaining a reward for such work as this, he will incur the punishment.
You're right.
A wise decision. Life in a monastery is much like life outside in many ways. The monastery walls don't keep out human pride and hatred.
Really? I thought monks were above that sort of human folly.
They became monks, Gregor, but that didn't stop them being men. Be on your guard as much as you ever were outside. Lies, jealousy, vengeance, they can hurt you here as much as anywhere.
Thanks for the advice, although I don't know if I can follow it.
That's up to you, brother.
Prime in the morning, let them labor at whatever is necessary.
Talk to me, brother.
I heard you've been mistreating Novice Lucas.
What's it to you?
I want you to put an end to it and treat him like you should. Like a brother.
Well, well. You've really grown a pair of angel's wings. You better be careful. Wings can get clipped. A few days rotting in solitary might remind you who's who around here.
Early, at the middle of the 8th hour, and let them again do what work has to be done until Vespers. Weak or sickly brethren...
I couldn't care less who's around here. All I know is, there's me, a young man in his prime, and there's you, a decrepit old geezer who's about to get his face smashed in.
Come now, brother. There's no need for such angry words. Nothing serious happened. We had a bit of a brotherly disagreement with Lucas, but that's water under the bridge. Please, tell him everything's been forgiven, and he's got nothing to fear from us. Satisfied?
Thanks. I'm always glad when people can come to a civil agreement.
Beware of Lucas. He might corrupt you.
What do you mean?
He's a sodomite, a sinner. He might try to get you into the habit, or out of it.
Permission to speak should rarely be granted even to perfect disciples, even though it be for good, holy.
I'll decide for myself who I do and don't talk to.
Written, in much speaking you will not escape sin.
What do you desire?
Death and life are in the power.
I'd like to ask.
For speaking and teaching belong to the master. The disciple's part is to be silent and to listen. For that reason, if anything
What is it?
of the superior, it should be asked with all the humility and
About you and the...
Ask me anything you...
reverence. But as for coarse jests and idle words or words...
I'm not really...
Then why are you wasting...
These we condemn everywhere with a perpetual ban. And for such...
Thank you for
we do not permit a disciple to open his mouth.
I'd like to...
The rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on the spirit of
I
silence.
heard you've been...
What's it to you?
The prophet says. I said,
I want you to put an end to it and treat him like you should.
Well, well. You've really got...
I was mute and was humble and kept silent.
I couldn't care less.
Come now, brother. There's no need... Oh, we had a bit of a brotherly disagreement.
Thanks.
Beware of Lucas.
What do you mean?
He's a sodomite.
I'll decide for...
Therefore, since the spirit of silence is so important, permission to speak
What
should
is it?
rarely be granted even to perfect disciples, even though it be for good, holy, edifying conversation. For it is written...
I spoke to the cicadas about how they've been treating you.
Really? Did you manage to convince them?
Death and life are in the...
I turned the screws on them. They'll leave you alone now.
You've done it? You've stood up to the cicadas. You've earned my admiration and my thanks. Because now I know I can trust you. There's something I want to tell you. It's about Brother Antonius. I wouldn't like to say something that isn't true. God forbid I should cause harm by my words, but this is something I'm sure of. Novice Antonius is lying to us.
What makes you say that?
He claims he's a merchant's son from Vlashim, and that he joined the order voluntarily. The thing is, I spent a great deal of time in Vlashim. I know it like the back of my hand, and no one even remotely like Antonius has ever lived there.
Are you sure? Because this could mean that...
It's true, or Canute isn't my name. That would be my secular name, by the way, but that's not important. I know Vlashim, and I know the local merchants there, and I've never seen Antonius among them. Why would he be lying if he had nothing to hide?
Thank you for telling me. I'll look into it.
The Rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on the Spirit of Silence. Let us do...
I'm Gregor, a novice.
I know. I saw you at the ceremony. My name is Nebulus, and I'm the provost here. I'm in charge of the monastery's property, as well as handling trade with the outside world.
That means you get to leave the monastery?
No, not at all. I just write lists and send them out.
Tell me about yourself.
I'm the provost of this monastery. It's my job to ensure the monks live a humble life, but in reality I spend all my time making sure my brother's gluttony and the construction of a new church don't swallow up the few resources we have left.
I'm interested in the election.
You're not alone. Everyone's so worked up about that they spent no time considering how they could make the monastery a better place now.
Why? What's wrong with it now?
Many brothers think more about their stomachs than prayer. The older brethren bend the rules of the order to make them fit their interests. So, to balance the scales, they want the novices to lead exemplary lives. Sin abounds here, just as in the outside world.
What sins are you talking about?
The scripture says, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." I'm sorry, Gregor, it's not my place to speak about the sins of others.
Tell me something about how...
A new abbot has to be elected once the old one dies. All the brethren can vote. When he becomes abbot, a monk spends most of his time dealing...
Can you tell me about Abbot...
Peter's wise in the ways of politics and a good shepherd, but as you've already heard, he's old and infirm. The other brothers see him with one foot in the... But you, brother, don't let yourself get involved in the games of your superiors.
With what?
I'm interested in medicine, and I know there's a cure for the abbot's ailment. With your help, I could find out the details, and together you and I could give old Peter a few more years to do good. What do you say?
You can count on my help. What do you need me to do?
In order to get the recipe for this medicament, a few rules will need to be broken. Now you know most of the brothers believe every illness is a message from God, and that it's not our place to deny his will. I, however, think if God sent us not just illnesses, but also the medicine to cure them, then it's our duty to relieve people of their suffering. The cure for Abbot Peter's illness could be contained in one of the books in our library, but it will certainly be amongst the libri prohibiti, the forbidden books, those we aren't permitted to read.
Why are they forbidden?
Because they contain occult and demonic practices, witchcraft and all manner of evil. Or so some people claim. It's nonsense, of course. This is nothing but a book of medicine, albeit one written by a pagan. Ibn Sina, also known as Avicenna, is universally acknowledged to be a wise man. But here, at some point, someone decided his book is the work of a Saracen devil and must be kept under lock and key. Since then, no one can even talk about the book. But the 3 wise men were from the East, were they not?
Where can I find it?
In the library, there's a large cabinet with a lock on it. The forbidden books are inside. You'll easily recognize what you're looking for. The cover has not only a Latin inscription, but also Saracen letters. Bring it to me, but leave the other books there. No one will notice if one book disappears, but if more were to vanish, someone would certainly begin to look into it, which is exactly what we don't want.
Is there anything
There's a key to the cabinet in the prior's chambers. The librarian should have another one, or you can acquire some lockpicks. But I can't tell you where or how. Perhaps Brother Salarius could help.
Why can't you do it yourself?
Because I'm one of the highest-ranking monks here, and one day I'd like to become abbot. Can you imagine me crawling around in the black of night searching for a forbidden book?
You could just ask for it.
Do you honestly think I haven't tried? Unfortunately, Librarian Cyril is a stubborn ass.
I'm ready.
One more important thing. There's always someone in the library during the day. To pass unwatched, you'll need to go at night. It's locked, but I'm sure you'll manage to get in. They say Brother Salarius understands locks, but don't tell him why you need it. Once you have the book, bring it to me, and I'll then use it to make Peter's medicine. We'll soon have the election of the abbot over and done with.
I'm interested in the election of the...
You're not alone. Everyone's so worked up about that they spent no time...
Why? What's wrong with it?
Many brothers think more about their stomachs than prayer. The older brethren bend the rules of the order to make them fit their interests. So, to balance the scales, they want the novices to lead exemplary lives. Sin abounds here, just as in the outside world.
I'll be interested to know...
I don't like to speak ill of people, but Circuitor John is the worst person the monks could pick to represent them. He's nothing but an old schemer and pedant who preaches water but drinks wine. He's won the older brethren over because they know he won't call an end to their debauchery.
Why do you want to become...
Because when I see the way things are headed around here, I have no other option. Itinerant preachers speak of the corrupted black heart of the church, and I can't deny there's truth in what they say. I'd like to change things and bring back meaning and esteem to the monastery.
That's all.
Peace be with you.
Ah, this looks like the Saracen language. That's who I'm looking for. Avicenna.
Salve, be well. Praise be to Christ.
Is there anyone...
What would you like?
Not exactly.
John isn't my opponent, he's my brother. Just like you. But there is something you could help me with. You must know there's a great deal of iniquity here in the monastery.
Should I find out for you what's going...
Let me make this clear. I want to base my candidacy on putting things in order. But if I don't know exactly what's wrong, then my promises are just empty slogans.
Very good then.
Thank you, brother.
I'd like... What do you want me to...
I'd be interested to hear about any iniquity in...
Here's the book you wanted.
Amazing. This really is it. Now I can use it to prepare a cure for our suffering abbot. Then I'll leave it in the library to make it seem as if Brother Librarian left it lying about. There'll be no investigation. It would be against his best interests, as he'll look like the one who wasn't taking proper care of the books. It will drive him mad. I didn't leave that book out, or did I? Is there anything I can do for you in return?
I'd be interested...
That's a strange wish you have. They keep a record of every monk in the abbot's book, but you'll never get your hands on it.
Thanks.
No, thank you. About that book, don't even think about breaking...
I've discovered something about the...
I see.
The Circators go into the cellar at night to drink wine.
I thought so. John always reeks of it. And he wants to be abbot. Hypocrite. Perhaps if you told the prior, that would clip John's wings.
The older brothers are picking on novice Lucas, punishing him when he doesn't deserve it and humiliating him.
It seems that now even brothers can't avoid worldly evil. Thank you for the information, and if you can, stand up for him. The older brothers are also out to get me. Any action I take, they'll try to use against me.
That's all I know.
If you find out anything else, come to me. I'd be interested.
I'm here to work.
Excellent. I've been waiting for you. There's the alchemist's laboratory. You'll find ingredients in the chests next to it. I want you to prepare 2 marigold. Once you finish them, you'll find me somewhere nearby. Don't forget to let me know when you're done so I can check them. Praise be to... Praise be to Christ, brother.
I've finished my work.
Show me what you've made. Spectacular, Gregor. You've found your talent. Soon enough, you'll be teaching the other novices.
Brother, what are you doing here?
I had other affairs that needed to be attended to.
Really? This time I'll look the other way.
I'd like to ask...
Ah, Gregor.
I'm here to work.
Good. This is most likely the first time you've ever done this in your life. But it's easier than you think. Here's the original, and here are the blank parchments on which you'll copy what you read in the original. Is that clear?
Get away from that cabinet. The books stood in there aren't for your eyes to see. Don't even look at that cabinet. It contains forbidden books.
No, no.
Ah, great. I'd like to ask...
Get away from that cabinet. The book's still in there out for your eyes to see.
Because of the holy service they have professed, the gloom of hell and the glory of life everlasting. As soon as anything has been ordered by the superior, receive it as a divine command and cannot suffer
Talk to
any
me,
delay in executing it. But this very obedience
Brother...
I see, so it's the
Well, yes.
That won't be easy, I can tell you that straight off.
Delay, lukewarmness, grumbling.
How could I get...
With great
For the
difficulty.
obedience given to superiors is given to God.
Is there any other?
The door out of the monastery is like any other. Only the lock's more complicated than most. But I can sell you some lock...
Yet his work will not be accepted.
Could you take the...
Rob the prior?
You wouldn't be doing...
Then what could you possibly pay me? I'm done with my thieving.
How much would...
A princely sum, brother. This is no trifle.
Therefore, when anyone receives the name
That
of
much?
abbot,
Precisely.
he ought to govern his disciples with a twofold teaching. That is to say,
You have some
show them all that is good
What's there to
and
tell?
holy, by
We were all young and...
So you turned to steam?
I said about securing... Without that little bit extra, I'd never...
No one, brother.
among his disciples, but demonstrating the divine precepts by his actions for those
I'd
of
like to
harder
ask-
hearts and ruder minds. The abbot should always remember what
I'm
he
looking
is
for some-
and what he
And
is
what-
called, and should know that to whom more is committed.
I need to get some...
From him
You're not the
more
only
is
one.
required.
But I have
Let
to
him
keep
make no
records of all the
distinction of
casks, and the
persons in
prior
monastery.
checks on them.
Let him not love one more than another.
I'm looking for...
Unless it be
Lock
one
picks.
whom he finds better in good works or in obedience. And let him
I'd like to
shut
practice
his
opening...
eyes to the
Well,
faults
why
of
not?
offenders.
So you heard I used to be a burglar,
Since he
did you?
has the authority,
I
let
put it
him
all
cut
behind.
out
I'll
those
trade them
faults
for
by the
food.
roots
Get me a
as
bite to eat,
soon as they
and you
begin
can have
to
your
appear.
lockpicks.
The well-disposed expounding the Lord's commandments in words to the intelligent among his disciples, but demonstrating the divine precepts
What
by
would
his
you-
actions for those of harder hearts and ruder minds. The
I'm looking
abbot
for...
should
And what-
always remember what he is and what he is called, and
I'm
should
looking
know
for
that to
luck.
whom more is committed.
I'd like...
From
Well,
him, more
so you
is
heard... I'll
required.
trade them
Let
for
him make
food.
no distinction of person. Understanding. Let him
Can we
correct
do
his
some-
verbal
Well,
admonition
we-
the first and second time. But bold, hard,
We agree?
You won't
proud,
convince-
disobedient characters he should curb at the very beginning of their
Aye.
iniquity by stripes and other bodily punishments, knowing that it is written. Rule of Saint Benedict.
What do you desire?
Readings on daily manual labor. Idleness is
I've got the money.
of the soul.
By the relics of Saint
Therefore,
Procopius.
brethren should be occupied
There
at
you go.
certain times
Come back in a
with
couple of
manual
days.
labor, and again at fixed hours in sacred reading. To that end, we think that the times for each may be prescribed.
What would
as
you-
follows. From Easter.
Do you have the key?
calendars
What,
of the
you
soul.
think it's that?
When they come out from prime in the morning, let them labor at whatever is necessary until about the 4th hour. And from the 4th hour until about the 6th, let them apply themselves to reading. Perfect silence, or if anyone may perhaps want to read, let him read to himself in such
Praise be to...
not to disturb anyone else. Let none be said rather early, at the middle of the 8th hour, and let them again do what work done until vespers. Weak or sickly brethren should be assigned
What is
to
it?
task or craft of such a nature as to keep them from idleness and at the same time not to overburden them.
I'm still...
It's no big...
Excessive toil. Their weakness must be taken into consideration.
There's a lot of coin in the stash. You have to admit it looks...
I admit it might look that way.
Readings on the
But if I tell you what I'm hiding from everybody, I think you'll understand why. I hate to think of all I lost when they stuck me in here. And also because I really hate the question, aren't you the son of the famed Sir Smil Flashka Pardubitz? I was rich and I had everything. But then my father began to feel his time approaching, so he decided to send a son to the monastery. And, being the youngest, the lot fell on me. I've no head for managing the estate, and they said I'd squander it.
What about the dagger?
That's a memento of better times. Father gave me that when I was a little lad. And it's done right by me more than once.
Do you know how to...
And how? Boozing and brawling. God, how I miss that here.
Eyes to the faults of offenders, but since he has the authority,
I see.
cut out
What?
those faults by the roots.
A man pours his heart out.
They begin to appear.
What troubles you?
Remembering the fate of Heli, the priest of silence. The well
still...
disposed in
It's
those
no
with
big
good
terrible...
understanding, let him correct with verbal admonition.
Actually...
Second times. But bold, hard, proud, and disobedient characters, he should
Talk to me.
at the very beginning of their ill by stripes and other bodily punishments, knowing that it is written,
Would you desire...
is not corrected with words. And again, beat your
I'd like to ask you...
and you will deliver his soul from death. The rule of Saint Benedict, readings on daily manipulation. Idleness is the enemy of the soul. Therefore, the brethren should be occupied at certain times in... What would you like? The rule of Saint Benedict, readings on the spirit of science. Let us do what the prophet says. I said, I will guard my ways, that I may not sin with my tongue. I have set a guard to my mouth. I was mute and was humble and kept silence even from good things. Here the prophet shows that if the spirit of silence ought to lead us at times. Mission inspired by reverence. But as for coarse jests and idle words,
Peace be with you, brother.
Let's hope things will settle down a bit.
Praise be to Christ.
Nevlis wanted me to steal a forbidden book from the library.
Really? Oh, this must be a dream. Actually, this would never have occurred to me, even in my wildest dreams. Which book? What did he want it for?
What was that writer called? Avicenna, a pagan and a Mohammedan. He wanted to use it to help heal Abbot Peter.
What? That dirty louse thinks he can steal magic books and use them to curse good Christians? Well, he shan't, as long as my name's John.
I don't think it's really like that. It was a medicinal book, and Nevlis had good intentions.
Brother, if the book is forbidden, there is a good reason for it. Forbidden books are full of magic, blasphemy, and witchcraft. There's no excuse for reading them, let alone stealing them from where they've been safely hidden away. Nevlis has committed a grave offence, and he'll pay for it. But listen, brother, for the time being, keep it to yourself. Now, you've helped me greatly, but I'll save it for when Neverless begins elbowing his way into the elections. The power of truth is great.
As you wish. I'm glad.
I won't.
I'd like to...
Quite right, brother. Just sit down and drink with us. When the wine runs out, Yorick will fetch more.
What would you like?
You mentioned Yodok. What does he do for you?
Well, nothing much. He's just a little suckling like you. He'll do whatever it takes to stay on our good side. Sometimes we make use of him when there are errands to run.
Where'd you get the wine from? I thought the monastery cellars were guarded.
So they are. But this wine isn't from the monastery. Listen, lad, would you help us out with something? This cask is almost empty and we need a new one. We're a bit old for such exertions, but you, on the other hand...
I'll help you. What do I need to do?
Ha! I knew it. Help Novice Yorick arrange for a new cask. Talk to him first thing in the morning, and by tomorrow night, the cask can be on the table.
All right, I'll talk to him. Let's play!
Just the man we've been waiting for.
I'll say one thing, brother. This wine would grace the Pope's table.
I'm not so sure. It's a bit sour. God knows.
Grigor.
Not now, brother.
The rule of Saint Benedict, readings on daily manual lays. Idleness is the enemy of the soul.
Aha,
Therefore, the brethren
brethren should be
Do you have the key?
What, you think it's that easy?
and again at fixed hours in sacred reading. To that end, we think that the times may be prescribed as follows. From Easter until the calends of come out from 5 in the morning, let them labor at whatever is necessary until about the 4th hour. From the 4th hour until about the 6th, let them apply themselves to the after the 6th hour, the rest of the day, silence. Done until Vespers. Weak or sickly brethren should be assigned a task or craft of such a nature as to keep
What is it?
at the same time
I was talking last night with the brother Cicators. Seems you're to fetch them a cask of wine, like last time.
Hey, well, yes, it's true.
I'd like to help you.
Would you really do it? To get hold of the wine, we'll have to leave the monastery for a bit. I know it's forbidden, but we've no other option. If wine started going missing here, someone would notice. But to leave the monastery, we need the keys. And only the prior has those.
Wait a moment. Are you saying I'm supposed to steal the prior's keys so I can go and steal wine somewhere?
You see why I don't want to do it myself now, do you? I don't have what it takes. I can't get those keys, but you could.
But you've done it once before, haven't you?
Last...
How can I get hold of...
I don't know. But it might be possible to do this without them. Brother Celerius...
Do you think he'll want to take part in theft?
No. But he could give some advice. Or maybe get some lockpicks to open the gate.
If you think so.
Once you have the key or some lockpicks, come and see me and we'll make our plan.
About those keys...
Did you get them?
Yes, I have.
In that case, come before midnight to the cloister garden. I'll be waiting for you there, and we'll head off.
The rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on the abbot. Therefore, when anyone receives the name of abbot, he ought to govern his disciples with a twofold teaching. That is to say, he should show them all that is good and holy, by his deeds even more than by his words. And again, beat your son.
Ah. What would you...
I've discovered...
I see.
Brother Yodok has been stealing wine for the cicadas so they can drink.
Yodok? Well, that little rat's shown his true colours. Do you know where he's stealing?
I don't know, unfortunately.
No matter. You've brought me important...
Brother Siskin is hiding treasure he owned before he...
It doesn't surprise me. It's not the first time that's happened, and it won't be the last. I wouldn't punish him, but you can talk to him about it. Perhaps God will guide him, and he'll gladly give up his mammon.
That's all I know.
If you find out anything else, come to me.
I've discovered...
I see.
That's all I know.
If you find out...
I'm here to...
Excellent. I've been waiting for you. Concoct 2 Once you finish them, you'll find me somewhere nearby. Don't forget to let me know when you're done, so... What do you decide?
I'm interested...
You're not alone. Everyone's...
Why? What's wrong with...
Many brothers think more about their stuff.
That's all.
Peace. What would you like?
I've finished my work.
Show me what you've... Spectacular, Gregor.
Talk to me.
I'd like to... I'm here to work.
Excellent.
Oh, this is quite inexcusable, but... is done without hesitation. Delay, lukewarmness, for the obedience given to superiors is given to God.
What is it, brother?
Do you have the key?
What, you think it's that easy?
Then even though he fulfills the command, yet his word will not be acceptable to God, who sees that his heart is pure. And far from gaining a reward for such work as this, he will incur the punishment due to murmurers, unless he amend and make satisfaction. The rule of Satan. Punishment for sin, make us avoid evil work.
Yes, to chase around after them, finishing what they don't. You're right. It stunk like a wine barrel in there, and it's not the first time.
What would...
What do you desire? Salve Domine.
Talk to me, brother.
Here I am.
Just in time to manage it all. Once we're outside, we'll need to be careful, and we'll need to be quick. If we're not back before sunrise, someone will realize we've gone, and there'll be hell to pay.
Where exactly are we going for the wine?
Next to the monastery is the house of the custodian, a baron who provides military protection to the monastery. We'll take the wine from him.
Why go to all that trouble? Aren't the monastery wine cellars full?
They are, but Brother Salarius keeps records of all the casks, and the prior checks them. They'd investigate if any went missing. Whereas, if someone outside loses the odd cask, they're not going to suspect us monks.
That does sound reasonable. How do we do that once we're there? Will we need to break into the custodian's cellar?
We needn't break in anywhere. It's on the ground floor and usually unlocked. It holds supplies for the whole craftsman's yard, and every now and again, someone comes in to fetch something. The only thing we have to make sure is that nobody sees us.
What particular wine are the cicadas after?
They want some Znojmo wine. But there's no way we'll be able to tell what's what. We'll just grab a cask and head off. I doubt the custodian would have anything of poor quality in his cellar.
The brothers will complain.
They'll complain even more if they've nothing to drink at all.
I'm ready. We can head off.
All right. You have the outside keys, so get unlocking.
What's that?
vessels with quicksilver in them.
Why doesn't Yodak drink with us anyway?
He's young, and he wants... If he got too drunk to make it to prayer.
You mean like your good self last Christmas Day? The way you drowned out the prior's voice by snoring through the Agnus Dei?
Don't remind...
What troubles you?
What would you like?
Ah!
No, clear off. Let me sleep. me sleep. Are you waking me? Go away. No, clear off. Let me sleep.
Praise be to Christ.
I found a dagger in your stash.
And why shouldn't you have? I did hide it there after all. Do you often go through other people's belongings?
Only when necessary.
And was it necessary? Are you looking for someone or something? Maybe if you tried just asking, you'd have better luck. That dagger's the only thing I have left of my father. It was in our old shop under the counter. Father kept it there to protect himself from thieves. When I was little, I admired that dagger so much. I asked Father if he'd give it to me when I was older. He always said yes, but only after he was dead.
Oh, that's enough. You don't need to say any more if you don't want to.
Thank you, brother. Now you can give it back to me.
I'd rather keep it.
But you can't. It's not you, so you're nothing but a common thief. I hope your conscience will get the better of you one day and you'll return it.
I've heard you're from Vlash.
Yes, why do you ask? And more importantly, where did you hear it? Since I'm quite sure I've never told you. Honestly, the monks like to gossip more than old wives at the market.
Because I've heard otherwise. You aren't from Vlashim. You made it all up.
And who told you that? Whoever it was, he's a liar. It's complete nonsense.
I need to make a confession.
I'm no priest, but tell me what you've done. It's probably nothing to worry about.
I'm here in the monastery looking for a thief. He had a hand in burning down the Neuhof stud.
You don't say. And who are you to take such an interest?
That's not important.
Why are you telling me this anyway? What do you want from me?
Perhaps you could help me find him?
The missing thief? If I knew anything, I'd tell you, but I suppose it must be one of the novices. I've only recently heard about the Neuhof incident. All the other brethren have been here much longer than that.
I know. Aside from me, there are only 4 novices, but still, I don't know which one he could be.
3? Please, leave me out of it. And you're right that it could be any one of them. No one knows anything about Lucas. Siskin might be a lot of things, but a monk isn't one of them. And Yodok is a slimy worm. It wouldn't surprise me if he was behind that massacre. Actually, the more I think about it, the less I like that Yodok. He's a treacherous rat who'd do anything to get in someone's good books. The thought of Yodok at Neuhof sends chills up my spine.
Maybe you're right. It's not a pretty thought.
Don't fret, my friend.
What do you
I'm still...
It's...
Actually...
Praise be to...
I know you're pious. The man I've been looking for.
So you're finally sure? Tell me, Gregor, or Carl, or whatever your true name is. What do you want to do now?
I don't know. I'm not sure what I should do.
Well, at least you're prepared to think and not just play bloodhound for a pack of nobodies. And I'm glad you have your doubts.
I don't want to be like the people I'm looking for. If I have to kill, it should be for a reason, not because I enjoy it.
You know, we're both pawns in someone else's game. They have plans for us. But we don't have to let them use us. We can just forget all about it and go our own way. I was a bandit, and I was at Neuhof. I've robbed and stolen, but I swear to God I've never in my life slain innocent people. What I saw at Neuhof made me realize my life was worth shit, but I still had a chance to change for the better. Here in the monastery I've had plenty of time to think things over, but then you showed up and fucked it all up.
So the evildoer changes his ways and finds God. What exactly are you proposing?
Both of us can leave this place. You can go back to your people, and I can go somewhere where I can live out my life in peace, and no one will try to kill me. If we work together, we can both get what we want.
You're right. But the people who sent me will find out if I don't kill you.
They won't if we're clever about it. No one has to die. Before we make a run for it, we'll make it look like someone's killed me. Loads of blood, a tattered scrap of my habit, and footprints leading towards the river. No one will bother looking for my body there. There we'll split up. You go for your bounty, and I'll get as far away from here as I can.
Good. Let's do it your way.
Good. I'm glad that despite our initial discord, we could reach an agreement. Here, take something to calm your stomach. Now we'll need the keys to the monastery, and some blood to make the tracks.
What are you going to do?
I need to get ready for a long journey. Prepare supplies, get some normal clothing somehow. That sort of thing. You can escape in that habit, but I need to vanish as fast as I can.
What do I need the keys to the...
How else will we get out? This place is practically a prison.
Do you mean these keys?
What? I'm not going to ask you how you got your hands on those, you devious lad.
And where am I supposed to get my hands on blood in a monastery?
You'll find a parchment in the kitchen with a list of ingredients on it. All the things they're ordering. Add blood for making soup to the list. And when it's delivered the next day, take it before anyone notices it's even come.
All right, that's everything I need to know. I can get started.
Excellent. Come and see me once you have everything. And try to be as fast as you can. And Gregor, thank you.
quiet. Let him make no distinction of persons in the monastery. Let him not allow one. Remembering the fate of Heli, the priest.
What do you desire?
The well-disposed.
Do you have the key?
What, you think it's that easy?
The first and second time. But bold, hard, proud, and disobedient characters we should curb at the very beginning of their ill-doing lesson.
Brother? What are you doing here? Should...
Come now, brother. Aren't we friends? Would you really punish a friend for...
I'll pretend nothing happened. But this is the last time, brother.
But simply in his heart. Then even though he fulfills the command, yet his work will not be acceptable to God, who sees that his heart is burning.
What is it?
What is it, brother?
I've discovered.
I see.
That's all I know.
If you find out...
I'm here to work.
Excellent. I've been waiting for you. There's the... Concoct 2 buck's blood potions. Once you finish them... What would you...
I finished my...
Show me what you... Spectacular, Gregor.
Talk to me, brother.
I'm here to work.
Excellent.
You call that a copy? You've completely ruined...
Interested in what's inside? Forbidden books, written by the devil himself. Forget about them.
Sometimes to refrain even from good speech. So much the more of the punishment for sin to make us avoid evil words. Therefore, since the spirit of silence is so important, permission to speak should rarely be granted even to silence, even though
Do you have the key?
Like I promised. Here they are. But brother, if you happen to get caught out there, not a word about who got you the keys. Even on pain of torture, say nothing. That's the sort of trouble neither of us needs.
Don't worry, I'll be careful. And thanks.
And for that reason, if anything has to be asked of the superior, it should be asked with all the humility. school of Saint Benedict. Readings on the abbot. Therefore, when anyone receives, he ought to govern his disciples with a twofold teaching. That is to say, he should show them all that is good and holy, by his deeds even more than by his word. And let him not shut his eyes to the faults of offenders, but, since he hath as soon as they begin to appear. Then, let him correct with I said, I will guard my ways, that I may not sin with my tongue. I have set a guard to my mouth. I was mute and was humbled and kept silence even from good things. Here the prophet shows that if the spirit of silence ought to lead us in time, so it is only.
What do you desire?
I have everything we need for the escape.
Excellent. Straight after Vespers, we'll meet in the dormitory. We'll have to get it all done before the monks have finished dinner.
What exactly is your plan? And why can't we do it at night?
We're going to prepare a little riddle they'll never solve. And why at mealtime? Because we need the dormitory as well as the church to be empty. Then at night we'll escape. Do you follow? Take everything with you and don't forget the keys.
Good. Once evening mass ends, I'll be in the dormitory. Here's your dagger.
Thank you, brother. You don't know what this means.
The rule of Saint expounding the Lord's commandments in words to the intelligent among his disciples, but demonstrating the divine precept to the hearts and ruder minds. The abbot should always remember what he is and what he is called, and should know that to whom more is committed, from him more is required. In the monastery, let him not love one more than another, unless it be one whom he finds better in good works or in obedience.
I'm a new brother, a novice, Greg.
Welcome amongst us. Yes, yes, the Lord wanted me. How do you like it here?
It's wonderful.
I'm glad to hear it. May your enthusiasm...
Will you tell me something about how...
Of course. Abbot Peter is old, and we're afraid he'll soon be with our Heavenly Father.
Anyone can become the...
Precisely. We have two candidates, Nevlas and John. As the spirit, I know that some brothers have already begun scheming, but don't...
I'd like to ask you...
This is the virtue of those who put up. He will incur the punishment.
Praise be to...
Is there any way I could help you get
What would you like to do? Climb up the tower and shout vote?
Not exactly. You did...
John isn't my opponent, he's my brother. But there is something you could help me.
That doesn't sound like...
Pity?
I'm here to work.
Excellent. Concoct two. Once you finish them, you'll find me somewhere nearby. What is it, brother?
I finished my...
Show me what... Spectacular, Gregor.
Ah.
I'm here to...
Excellent. Can you read at all?
Salve. Be well.
Praise be to God. For a moment there I was worried you weren't coming. Give me that blood. This is the exact spot where you pushed me off the gallery. And here's where you dragged my lifeless body. Thank you for helping me out. Now we must each go our own way.
I was glad to help. I did what I needed to do and no one got killed. What will you do now?
Now, get the hell out of here. Steal the first horse I come across and ride until dawn, far, far away from here. I was thinking... Here, take this. Show it to those cutthroat bastards and tell them you found it on me. That should convince them. Especially when they hear about the outcry here after the fires found out we've gone.
Your lucky die?
In a manner of speaking. Hope it brings you more luck than it brought me. Thank you. Thank you for letting me live, Brother Gregor.
My name's Henry.
All right, Brother Henry. May God be with you.
No business out here.